Two Minnesota hunters traveled south to Iowa one winter to hunt deer. After tracking a big stag for miles, they finally get it in their sights and take it down. As they struggled, dragging the dead animal across the snowy, open fields back to their pickup, they were stopped by a DNR officer and he asked to see their hunting licenses and stamps. Assured that all was in order, the officer wished them a good day but offered some advice. If you boys would pull from the front legs instead of the back legs, the animal will glide easier with the grain of the fur in the snow instead of against the fur. The hunters thanked the officer and took his advice. After about an hour of pulling the deer, the first hunter says to the other, "That officer was a nice guy, and this deer is easier to pull." The second hunter replies, "Yeah, but he wasn't all that smart. We're getting further away from the truck." When I was learning to drive in the winter, my dad told me, if you're ever lost in the snow, wait for a plow truck, then follow it. One cold, snowy Minnesota night, I got lost on the way home. The snow was blowing so fast and piling up so high, I couldn't see any street signs. With no map in my car and a dead cell phone, I thought I might be stranded, so I pulled over to the side of the road. Then, breaking through the flurries, I saw the headlights of a plow truck in my rearview mirror. Thanking my lucky stars, I turned in and followed the truck, hopeful that it would lead me back somewhere I recognized. I followed that truck for what felt like hours. He turned left, I'd turn left. He'd swing to the right, and I was right on his tail. After a while, I saw brake lights from the plow, followed by four-way flashers. The plow had stopped, and I saw the driver get out and approach my car. I rolled down the window to talk to him. "Why are you following me, kid?" the plow driver asked. "Well, sir, my dad told me if I was ever lost in a snowstorm, I should wait for a plow truck and then follow it." "Well," said the plow driver, "I just finished clearing the Target parking lot. Want to follow me over to Best Buy?" A government employee sat in his office and, out of boredom, decided to see what was inside his old filing cabinet. He poked through the contents and came across an old brass lamp he's never seen before. "This will look good on my mantle," he said, and took it home with him. While polishing the lamp, a genie suddenly appeared. "Noble sir," he thundered, "you have 3 wishes you may ask of me." "All right," said the government clerk. "I would like an ice-cold Coke right now." He gets his Coke and drinks it. Now that he can think more clearly, he states his second wish. "I wish to be on an island with beautiful women who find me irresistible." Suddenly, he's on an island with gorgeous women eyeing him lustfully. He tells the genie his third and last wish. "I wish I'd never have to work again." Instantly, he was back in his government office. A woman goes on a business trip overseas, leaving her husband behind to look after the house and kids. After a few days, she calls up to see how everything is. "Everything's fine," he says. "The kids are finally sleeping okay without you here, and my boss has given me an extra week off until you're back. Oh, I forgot to say, the cat's dead. She was hit by a car." "What?" says the wife. "Are you serious? Why couldn't you have broken it to me more gently?" "How do you mean?" "You know how much I loved her. You could have lied to me and just built it up gradually. Like, you could have said she was stuck on the roof, and then tomorrow told me that the fire brigade was coming over to rescue her, and the day after that, she'd fallen and broken her leg. And then on Friday, you could tell me that she passed peacefully in her sleep. Don't just blurt out, 'The cat's dead.'" The man apologizes, and his wife hangs up, angry at him. After a few days, she calls back to apologize. "I'm sorry. These meetings have just been really stressful. How are you all doing?" "We're all good here," says the man. "Johnny got a certificate for swimming 100 meters, and Molly says she wants a pony for Christmas. Oh, I nearly forgot. Your mom is stuck on the roof." The boss wondered why one of his most valued employees was absent without giving any prior notice. Needing to have an urgent work problem resolved, he dialed the employee's home phone number and was greeted by a child's whispered, "Hello." "Is your daddy home?" he asked. "Yes," whispered the little voice. "May I talk with him?" The child whispered, "No." Surprised and wanting to talk with an adult, the boss asked, "Is your mommy there?" "Yes." "May I talk with her?" Again, the small voice whispered, "No." Hoping there was someone with whom he could leave a message, the boss asked, "Is anyone else there?" "Yes," whispered the little voice, "a policeman." Wondering what a cop would be doing at his employee's home, the boss asked, "May I speak with the policeman?" "No, he's busy," whispered the child. "Busy doing what?" "Talking to mommy and daddy and the neighbors," came the whispered answer. Growing more worried as he heard a loud noise through the earpiece on the phone, the boss asked, "What is that noise?" "A helicopter," answered the whispering voice. "What is going on there?" demanded the boss, now truly apprehensive. Again, whispering, the child answered, "The search team just landed a helicopter." Alarmed, confused, and a little frustrated, the boss asked, "What are they searching for?" Still whispering, the young voice replied, with a muffled giggle, "Me!" After a long stint in prison, Kathy managed to secure herself a job at a candy shop. She arrived on the first day wearing a proper yet practical dress. However, her first day was set to be retrieving candy at the front register. The first customer came, looked at the candy, and asked for licorice. This was on the top shelf, so Kathy had to climb up and down the ladder to get it. The second customer came, checked the candy shelf, and asked for peppermint. These were also on the top shelf, so Kathy had to climb up and down the ladder again. The following customers all also wanted the top shelf candy, forcing Kathy to spend all day going up and down the ladder. At the end of the day, Kathy went to the owner, George, to ask a question. "Hey, so may I ask, why is all the popular candy on the top shelf?" George looked her up and down. I don't think it's the candy. They might have wanted to see your undergarments." "Huh, well, the joke's on them. I don't even wear panties." While teaching a class, a teacher trying to teach good manners asked her students the following question. "Michael, if you were on a date having dinner with a nice young lady, how would you tell her that you have to go to the bathroom?" Michael said, "Just a minute, I have to go pee." The teacher responded by saying that would be rude and impolite. "What about you, Sherman? How would you say it?" Sherman said, "I am sorry, but I really need to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back." That's better, but it's still not very nice to say the word bathroom at the dinner table. And you, little Johnny, can you use your brain for once and show us your good manners? Johnny said, "I would say, darling, may I please be excused for a moment? I have to shake hands with a very dear friend of mine, who I hope to introduce you to after dinner." 3 engineers and 3 accountants are traveling by train to a conference. At the station, the 3 accountants each buy tickets and watch as the 3 engineers buy only a single ticket. "How are you going to travel with only one ticket?" asks an accountant. "Watch and you'll see," answers one of the engineers. They all board the train, and the accountants take their seats, while the 3 engineers cram into a restroom and close the door behind them. Shortly after the train departs, the conductor comes around to collect tickets. He knocks on the restroom door and says, "Ticket, please." The door opens just a crack, and a single arm emerges with a ticket in hand. The conductor takes the ticket and moves on. The accountants are impressed by this clever trick. On the way back from the conference, they decide to try the same tactic and save some money. When they get to the station, they buy a single ticket for the return trip. To their astonishment, the engineers don't buy a ticket at all. "How are you going to travel without a ticket?" asks one of the accountants. "Watch and you'll see," answers an engineer. They all board the train. The 3 accountants cram into one restroom, and the 3 engineers cram into another restroom nearby. Shortly after the train departs, one of the engineers leaves his restroom, walks over to the restroom where the accountants are hiding, knocks on the door, and says, "Ticket, please." A programmer and his project manager board a train headed through the mountains. They can find no other place to sit except for 2 seats right across the aisle from a young woman and her grandmother. After a while, it becomes quite clear that the woman and the programmer are interested in each other, as they keep looking at each other. Soon, the train passes into a tunnel and it is pitch black. There is the sound of a kiss, followed by the sound of a slap. When the train finally emerges from the tunnel, the four sit there without saying a word. The grandmother thinks to herself, "It was very rude of that young man to kiss my granddaughter, but I am glad she slapped him." The project manager thinks to himself, "I did not think the programmer was brave enough to kiss the woman, but I wish she hadn't missed him when she slapped me." The young woman thought to herself, "I am glad the guy kissed me, but I wish my grandmother had not slapped him." The programmer has a satisfied smile on his face and thinks, "Life is good. How often does a guy have a chance to kiss a beautiful woman and slap his project manager at the same time?" A prosecuting attorney called his first witness, a grandmotherly, elderly woman, to the stand. He approached her and asked, "Mrs. Jones, do you know me?" She responded, "Why, yes, I do know you, Mr. Williams. I've known you since you were a boy, and frankly, you've been a big disappointment to me. You lie, you cheat on your wife, and you manipulate people and talk about them behind their backs. You think you're a big shot when you haven't the brains to realize you'll never amount to anything more than a 2-bit paper pusher. Yes, I know you." The lawyer was stunned. Not knowing what else to do, he pointed across the room and asked, "Mrs. Jones, do you know the defense attorney?" She again replied, "Why, yes, I do. I've known Mr. Bradley since he was a youngster too. He's lazy and bigoted, and he has a drinking problem. He can't build a normal relationship with anyone, and his law practice is one of the worst in the entire state. Not to mention, he cheated on his wife with 3 different women. One of them was your wife. Yes, I know him." The defense attorney nearly died. The judge asked both counselors to approach the bench and in a very quiet voice said, "If either of you idiots asks her if she knows me, I'll send you both to the electric chair." A family of 5 is going on vacation. They've rented an RV for the cross-country trip. They loaded the RV with household items, clothing, recreational gear, pets, and food. Off they go. The car crashes into a brick wall minutes after starting the journey. Everyone is killed except the pet monkey. Police investigate but can't find a reason for the crash. They bring the monkey in for questioning. Police: "What was the mother doing before the crash?" Monkey pantomimes applying lipstick using the rearview mirror. Police: "Ah, she had the mirror turned. This might have caused the crash." Police: "What were the kids doing before the crash?" Monkey pantomimes kids fighting. "Ah, the kids caused a distraction. This might have caused the crash." Police: "What was the dad doing before the crash?" Monkey pantomimes drinking out of a bottle. "Ah, the father was drinking. This might have caused the crash." Police: "What were you doing before the crash?" Monkey pantomimes holding a steering wheel and driving. A young couple dies on their way to their wedding. On their way to get married, a young Catholic couple was involved in a fatal car accident. The couple found themselves sitting outside the pearly gates, waiting for St. Peter to process them into heaven. While waiting, they began to wonder, could they possibly get married in heaven? When St. Peter arrived, they asked him if they could get married in heaven. St. Peter said, "I don't know. This is the first time anyone has asked. Let me go find out." And he left. The couple sat and waited for an answer for a couple of months. While they waited, they discussed the pros and cons. If they were allowed to get married in heaven, should they get married? What with the eternal aspect of it all? What if it doesn't work? Are we stuck in heaven together forever? Another month passed. St. Peter finally returned, looking somewhat bedraggled. "Yes," he informed the couple, "you can get married in heaven." "Great," said the couple, "but we were just wondering, what if things don't work out? Could we also get a divorce in heaven?" St. Peter, red-faced with anger, slammed his clipboard on the ground. "What's wrong?" asked the frightened couple.
"Oh, come on," St. Peter shouted. "It took me 3 months to find a priest up here. Do you have any idea how long it'll take to find a lawyer?" A man met a woman at a bar, and after a few drinks, they decided to head back to her place. As they got to the bedroom, he took off his shoes and socks. The woman looked down and gasped, "Oh my, what happened to your feet?" He shrugged and said, "I had polio." Confused, she asked, "Don't you mean polio?" No, this only affected my toes. It's called tolio." She hesitated for a moment, but decided to keep going. As he took off his pants, she gasped again, "What happened to your knees?" He sighed, "Oh, that? I had measles." "You mean measles?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Nope, just my knees. So, measles." By now, she was getting nervous, but she kept undressing. Then, as he dropped his boxers, she took one look and said, "Let me guess, smallpox?" For several years, a man was having an affair with an Italian woman. One night, she confided in him that she was pregnant. Not wanting to ruin his reputation or his marriage, he paid her a large sum of money if she would go to Italy to secretly have the child. If she stayed in Italy to raise the child, he would also provide child support until the child turned 18. She agreed, but asked how he would know when the baby was born. To keep it discreet, he told her to simply mail him a postcard and write spaghetti on the back. He would then arrange for the child support payments to begin. One day, about 9 months later, he came home to his confused wife. "Honey," she said, "you received a very strange postcard today." "Oh, really? Let me see," he said. The wife gave it to him and watched as her husband read the card, turned white, and fainted. On the card was written, "Spaghetti, spaghetti, spaghetti. 2 with meatballs, 1 without. Send extra sauce." A teacher told her young class to ask their parents for a family story with a moral at the end of it, and to return the next day to tell their stories. In the classroom the next day, Joe gave his example first. "My dad is a farmer and we have chickens. One day we were taking lots of eggs to the market in a basket on the front seat of the truck when we hit a big bump in the road. The basket fell off the seat and all the eggs broke. The moral of the story is not to put all your eggs in one basket." "Very good," said the teacher. Next, Mary said, "We are farmers too. We had 20 eggs waiting to hatch, but when they did, we only got 10 chicks. The moral of this story is not to count your chickens before they're hatched." "Very good," said the teacher again, very pleased with the response so far. Next, it was Barney's turn to tell his story. "My dad told me this story about my Aunt Karen. Aunt Karen was a flight engineer in the war, and her plane got hit. She had to bail out over enemy territory, and all she had was a bottle of whiskey, a machine gun, and a machete." "Go on," said the teacher, intrigued. "Aunt Karen drank the whiskey on the way down to prepare herself. Then she landed right in the middle of 100 enemy soldiers. She killed 70 of them with the machine gun until she ran out of bullets. Then she killed 20 more with the machete till the blade broke. And then she killed the last 10 with her bare hands." "Good heavens," said the horrified teacher. "What did your father say was the moral of that frightening story?" The child said, "Stay away from Aunt Karen when she's been drinking." After my retirement at the company I worked at for 50 years, I looked forward to some relaxation time and putting my feet up. But my wife had other ideas. She insisted I take her to the local shopping center every day. Like most men, I found shopping boring and preferred to get in and out. She's like most women, she loves to browse and leaves me with endless time to fulfill. Yesterday, my dear wife received the following letter from the local shopping center. "Dear Mrs. Harris, over the past 6 months, your husband has caused quite a commotion in our store. We cannot tolerate this behavior and have been forced to ban both of you from the store. Our complaints against your husband, Mr. Harris, are listed below and are documented by our video surveillance cameras. June 15th. He took 24 boxes of condoms and randomly put them in other people's carts when they weren't looking. July 2nd.
Set all the alarm clocks in housewares to go off at 5-minute intervals. July 7th, he made a trail of tomato juice on the floor leading to the women's restroom. July 19th, walked up to an employee and told her in an official voice, "Code 3 in housewares, get on it right away." This caused the employee to leave her assigned station and receive a reprimand from her supervisor that, in turn, resulted in a union grievance, causing management to lose time and costing the company money. We don't have a Code 3. August 4th, went to the service desk and tried to put a bag of M&Ms on layaway. August 14th, moved a "Caution, wet floor" sign to a carpeted area. August 15th, set up a tent in the camping department and told the children shoppers he'd invite them in if they would bring pillows and blankets from the bedding department, to which 20 children obliged. August 23rd, when a clerk asked if they could help him, he began crying and screamed, "Why can't you people just leave me alone?" EMTs were called. September 4th, looked right into the security camera and used it as a mirror while he picked his nose. September 10th, while handling guns in the hunting department, he asked the clerk where the antidepressants were. October 3rd, darted around the store suspiciously while loudly humming the Mission Impossible theme. October 6th, in the auto department, he practiced his Madonna look using different sizes of funnels. October 18th, hid in a clothing rack and when people browsed through, yelled, "Pick me, pick me." October 22nd, when an announcement came over the loudspeaker, he assumed a fetal position and screamed, "Oh no, it's those voices again." Took a box of condoms to the checkout clerk and asked where is the fitting room. And last but not least, October 23rd, went into a fitting room, shut the door, waited a while, and then yelled very loudly, "Hey, there's no toilet paper in here." One of the clerks passed out. A couple was celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary when the wife claimed that she and her husband hadn't argued since their wedding night. After being asked about how they did it, the wife explains that after their wedding ceremony, they went and took a little honeymoon in a horse and buggy. The horse walked 10 miles and stopped, refusing to go further. "That's 1, said the wife. The horse looked back, walked another 5 miles and stopped, refusing to go further. "That's 2, said the wife. The horse looked back, walked another 5 miles and stopped, refusing to go further. "All right, that's 3, said the wife angrily. She stepped out of their buggy, grabbed a shotgun, and shot the horse. "Hold on," the husband said. "What do you think you were doing? We're 20 miles from home with no way back, and that was a vicious act of animal cruelty." The wife looked at her new husband and said, "That's 1. A woman walks into Bass Pro Shop to buy a fishing rod and reel for her grandson's birthday. Not knowing much about fishing gear, she randomly picks one and heads to the counter. Behind the register stands a store associate wearing dark sunglasses. "Excuse me, sir," she says. "Can you tell me anything about this rod and reel?" The man smiles. "Ma'am, I'm completely blind, but if you drop it on the counter, I can tell you everything just by the sound." Skeptical but curious, she sets it down. The associate tilts his head and says, "That's a 6-foot Shakespeare graphite rod with a Zebco 404 reel and 10-pound test line. A great all-around combo, and lucky for you, it's on sale this week for $20. Amazed, she exclaims, "That's incredible! You really can tell just from the sound? I'll take it." As she reaches for her purse, her credit card slips from her hand and lands on the floor. "That sounds like a MasterCard," the man notes. Impressed, she bends down to pick it up and accidentally lets out a little toot. Mortified, she freezes, but then she relaxes. He's blind, right? No way he knows it was me. The clerk rings up the sale. "That'll be $34.50, ma'am." She frowns. "Wait a minute. I thought you said it was $20. "Yes, ma'am.
The rod and reel are $20, but the duck call is $11 and the bear repellent is $3.50. She pays the bill without another word.
A poor old woman facing eviction was forced to sell her valuables. As she rummaged through her dusty belongings, she came across a dull copper kettle. Intrigued by its possible value, she dusted it off and, bam, a genie erupted from its neck. The genie said, "I've seen your struggles, and I will grant you 3 wishes." The woman, astonished, thought for a moment and said, "Age has taken its toll on me. I wish to be young and beautiful once more." Bam! In an instant, the old woman transformed into a ravishing young lady. Thrilled by her newfound beauty, she declared, "Genie, I want to live a life of grandeur. I want to be rich." Bam! The room swirled and shifted, turning her humble cottage into a magnificent mansion. She looked down and saw her worn clothing replaced with a stunning dress and shining heels. As she marveled at the transformation, the genie stood solemnly and said, "You have 1 wish left." The woman paused and then felt a brush against her leg. It was her old cat, frightened by the sudden change in surroundings. She looked up at the genie and said, "This cat has been with me through everything. Please turn him into a man so we can spend many happy days together." Bam! In a blinding flash, the cat vanished, and standing in his place was a tall, dark-haired, handsome young man. Immediately enamored, the woman fell into his arms. The genie, his work done, disappeared. As she gazed lovingly into the young man's eyes, he whispered, "I bet you wish you hadn't had me fixed." 3 little pigs walk into a restaurant and are seated at a table. After a few minutes of browsing the menu, they decide to start with some appetizers. The waiter comes over to take their order. "I'll start with some chips and salsa," says the first pig. "I'll have some mozzarella sticks," says the second pig. "Water, lots and lots of water," replies the third pig. They enjoy their appetizers and then decide it's time to order their main courses. The waiter returns to take their orders. I'll have a double cheeseburger, no onions," says the first pig. "I'll have a dish of macaroni and cheese," says the second pig. "Water, lots and lots of water," replies the third pig again. They devour their meals, and soon it's time for dessert. The pigs flag down the waiter, who asks them what they'd like. "I'll have a slice of cheesecake," says the first pig. "Give me a bowl of soft-serve chocolate ice cream," says the second pig. "Water, lots and lots of water," replies the third pig. After finishing their dessert, the waiter brings the bill. He's a little puzzled and asks the third pig, "Why did you only order water tonight?" The third pig looks up and smiles. "Well, one of us has to go wee all the way home." "Daddy, I fell in love and want to date this awesome girl."
That's great, son. Who is she?
"It's Tina, the neighbor's daughter."
Oh, I wish you hadn't said that. I have to tell you something, son, but you must promise not to tell your mother. Tina is actually your sister. The boy is naturally bummed out, but a couple of months later, "Daddy, I fell in love again and she is even hotter." "That's great, son. Who is she?" "It's Penny, the other neighbor's daughter." Oh, I wish you hadn't said that. Penny is also your sister. This went on a couple of times, and the son was so mad he went straight to his mother crying. "Mom, I am so mad at Dad. I fell in love with 6 girls, but I can't date any of them because Daddy's their father." The mother hugs him affectionately and says, "My love, you can date whoever you want. Don't listen to him. He is not your father."
Nelson Mandela was sitting at home watching TV when he heard a knock on the door. He opened it to find a small Chinese man clutching a clipboard and shouting, "You sign, you sign." Behind the man was a massive truck loaded with car exhausts. Nelson stood there in confusion as the man continued yelling, "You sign, you sign." "Look, mate, I think you've got the wrong person," Nelson said, slightly bemused. "Please leave." He shut the door in the man's face. The next day, another knock. Nelson opened the door, and once again, the same little man appeared, this time holding a clipboard with a truck full of brake pads behind him. He once again shouted, "You sign! You sign!" Frustrated, Nelson shoved the man back, saying, "I don't want them. You've got the wrong person." He slammed the door again. The following afternoon, Nelson was resting when yet another knock echoed through the house. He opened the door to find this same man, now with 2 huge trucks loaded with car parts, still holding his clipboard and shouting, "You sign! You sign!" At this point, Nelson had had enough. He grabbed the little man by the shirt and shouted, "I don't want any of this. Do you understand? You've got the wrong person. Who are you looking for?" The little man, thoroughly confused, looked at his clipboard and said, "You not Nissan main dealer?"